Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Jenny.
How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing great. I've been on Cambly all day. You're my last person today.
Oh, I hope you're not too tired. Or yeah,
No, absolutely not. I love talking on Cambly. So I am energized and ready to. I always take a break in the middle of the day to eat. So now I'm energized and ready to go.
great. That's nice. Just the topic that I wanted to talk about food.
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, um, uh, I I have this idea that in the United States, it's not. I think you're more lean towards I don't know, like fast food and
Okay.
I don't know how hard is it to get like garden food over there?
Healthy, fresh food.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. It's not hard. It's just very easy to get fast food and processed food. So it's
yes.
not difficult to get the healthy food. It's just that the other food is easier. So, um, yeah.
So, what about your like? Do you usually cook your meals, or what? How would you say it's your um, like? How healthy you would say it's your eating
Yeah, so you can use the word diet.
diet?
Diet has two meanings, right? You have the meaning that means like eating healthy, like I'm on a diet,
Yeah.
versus just the general food you eat is your diet, it means what you eat.
All
So,
right.
my diet is pretty healthy, I think, compared to a lot of Americans.
Nice.
Um, So for breakfast, I don't like very many different foods, so I eat pretty much the same thing all the time. So and I'm okay with it. So for breakfast, I always make myself a breakfast sandwich, which is an English muffin, an egg, cheese, and vegetarian bacon, since I'm a vegetarian. And then I have a multivitamin and chocolate milk. And that's what I have for breakfast every morning.
Interesting that you are a vegetarian because I I mean I've been sort of in the middle between eating meat and not doing so because I heard these arguments. I love animals and that's one a main one, and also because I think that yeah, eating so much meat it's not exactly the best diet to have.
Right.
So that's quite interesting. Also, to be
Yeah.
vegetarian in the United States, I don't know how difficult it could be, like planning your meals and stuff like that. But that's good.
Yeah.
So,
I've been a vegetarian since I was 11 years old.
oh, that's good.
Um, so for a long time. So I'm pretty used to it. And there's a lot more people nowadays who are vegetarians or even vegans. I'm not a vegan, I'm just a vegetarian because I eat a lot of cheese. But
Yes, I
there
think
are a lot of vegetarian and vegan options now.
yeah, I think so too because being vegan is like going to the extreme.
It
So
is going to an extreme. That's true.
yes, that's good because here in Peru, my sister. I don't know if I told you that she's currently she went to for a work and travel in the United States. She's been living for a couple of months over there.
In
So
which state?
she's in California.
Okay.
Yeah, she usually talks about how different are things. The family that she's living in, it has. I wouldn't say it's the best diet. So they usually have a lot of processed meals, stuff like
Yeah.
you don't have to do much work in order to get it done.
Yeah.
So it's I mean right here in my home, my house, we cook our meals. Usually it's with fresh vegetables.
Okay.
Uh, Everything is fresh. So I don't know. It sounds. I don't know. Even if I'd be living in the United States, I would be pretty much looking for everything fresh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know so much into that. It's easy, but Oh my God, your body, right?
Yeah, so I don't do a lot of cooking, but I don't eat a lot of fast foods either. I eat a lot of easy to cook food, like you said. So one of the main things I eat is pasta. So all I have to do for pasta is boil water, pour the pasta in, wait for it to finish, and then I melt cheese and butter on top of it and I eat it. And that's my main meal. I eat apples every day. I eat an apple every day at lunch because
Mhm.
apples you don't have to do anything. You just pick it up and eat it.
Yeah.
I eat carrots every day. You don't have to pick them. You just take them out of the fridge and eat them. So I
Mhm.
eat a lot of foods that don't require a lot of preparation, but I try and eat healthier foods. So sometimes I used to for lunch buy microwavable foods. So it'd be like frozen pasta. I'd put in the microwave and heat up. And I
Yeah.
ate that for lunch almost every day. But now because I'm at home, I don't need that. I can cook fresh pasta in a pot. Um, and then I have a restaurant that makes amazing salads because the main problem for me is the fresh ingredients go bad so fast and
Yes.
I can't eat them fast enough and I don't like share meals with other people that I don't buy them myself. So I'll order a restaurant salad all the time. So it's from a restaurant, but it's a salad. So
Yes. I mean, Peru is very popular. I think that you probably have heard about Peru and food and stuff like that. Usually people relate Peru to the food and Machu Picchu. That's it.
yeah.
So so yeah, I mean, I don't know how different was for you, like for example, being in Ecuador, the food, right?
Yeah. So the biggest adjustment for me was pasta because I eat pasta literally every day here. And they didn't eat pasta very often, the host family that I stayed with. Um, but so if I wanted pasta, I had to go find it at a restaurant, which was fine because I was in a big city, so it was easy to find. But
Hmm.
most days for breakfast, they would give me a fruit plate, which was great because I love fruit.
Hmm.
Um, and then sometimes empanadas and eggs. I'm a pretty easy person to feed at breakfast. For lunch and dinner was usually like they'd give me a bowl of rice, and I like just plain white rice, so it's fine. And then salads with spinach and tomatoes were fine. And uh, sometimes we would have soup, but the soup is a really popular food in Ecuador, but there's so much of the soup has meat in it that I
Yeah.
didn't eat it very often. So it was a lot of rice, a lot of salad, a lot of empanadas, a lot of eggs.
Well, here in Peru, it's quite often to that the lunch has rice as well. I'm not too fond of rice actually, but I mean I eat some. Um, but yeah, I mean usually it's at least here is there's this traditional um, I don't know how to say dishes maybe
Yeah,
traditional.
dishes.
So we have plenty of different traditional dishes, but at least from what I hear from my sister, the pretty much uh, what they eat at the family that she's currently living at, it's pretty much Mexican food, and
Okay.
and and that's quite weird to me because yeah, I mean I sort of realized that maybe you don't have that many traditional dishes in the United States. Pretty much Mexican food has become like the
Yeah,
like
so that's one of the interesting things about the US is because our country is so new, we don't really have historical like cultural heritage to anything. Because the country's only been around for about 300 years. So most of the things that make you America America are things we took from other people. So eating Mexican food, eating Chinese food, eating Indian food, like this is something that people do a lot in the US because traditional American food is like hamburgers and hot dogs.
yes, yes. So I think that if you come to Peru, I think you're not going to run out of new dishes right here
Right.
because even so, like we have these traditional dishes and we have all these Italian food, Chinese food, and from everywhere around the world. also sushi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we have made a mixture of it, like traditional dishes and the mixture of this, and it has its
Okay.
own name. So, for
Cool.
example, the mixture between Chinese and Peruvian, it's called Cantonesa. It's right here.
Okay.
There's, for example, Peruvian and Japanese is called Nikkei,
Okay.
and, and there's a lot of
That's
creativity.
cool.
Yes, yes. So yeah, if you come for some food, well, since you're a vegetarian, like I don't know much about it, but you might still have some choices
I'd
as
find
well.
some options for sure. Do you
Yeah.
I love trying new fruits. I eat a lot of fruit. That's one of my favorite food groups after pasta. So I really like the granadillas. Um
Granadillas.
yeah, and I
Nice.
can't find them in the United States, and that makes me really sad because I really the first time I saw it I was like, because it looks kind of funny. But then I tasted it and I was like, oh, this is delicious.
Yes, really sweet.
And then my host family also made juice with guanabana.
Yeah.
And so I love the smell of that. I didn't like the taste of that as much, but the smell was delicious.
Hmm.
And it was so funny because I found out later, like I've never heard of that fruit before. Later, I learned the word in English is called a soursop. I'd never, literally never heard that before.
Hmm.
So when I was in the Galapagos and I was going on like a tour with one of the island guides,
Hmm.
he was telling me the thing in English. He's like, oh, these are soursops. I go, I thought those were guanabanas. He's like, well, that's in Spanish. And I go, oh. He's like, don't you know soursop? I go, no, I only go guanabana. He goes, I'm teaching you English? I'm like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, um, yes, because you don't have that many fruits. I mean, I was teaching a few weeks ago my students some of the fruits in English, but some of them you don't find them like the ones that we know in Spanish. Some of
Hmm.
them I haven't even heard of them in English because they don't
Right,
really eat that stuff right there. That
right,
doesn't
exactly.
they don't garden that stuff right there.
Right, exactly. So, yeah.
Yes, but I mean also something that I realized on the actually today early today was that I was yeah a few hours ago I was checking our first, yes, I think it was our first conversation, yes.
Okay,
um, it was just about the thing. Now that you have mentioned some words in Spanish, um, it was really funny because I used the auto translate from YouTube in order to to see the subtitles,
okay,
and pretty much pretty much all your words it picked it up, and
cool.
mine pretty much didn't. The one I was saying. And yeah, it was like, yeah, I felt a little bit bad because I mean what I was trying to say is about the accent, right?
Right.
Like my sister told me once that speaking with friends and people in the United States, they can still pick up her accent. And yeah, it's something that I as well was sort of trying to work on, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was wondering, is it really that? I think it's not noticeable my accent, right?
So accents are, I've actually done like a whole bunch of trainings and gone to workshops on accents because I think they're really interesting. There's a lot of politics behind accents. And one of the main politics behind accents is people from the United States, especially, when they hear an accent, they're registering this person is not from here, and it changes their perception of the word. So there's like been lots of studies that show people who have perfect English but pronounce their words with an accent get rated as having worse English than people who have broken English but no accent, which is so dumb. This comes because people have bias against non-natives, and that's the whole point. So with accents, there's a lot of people on Cambly who say, "I want my accent to go away. I want to sound like like a native American speaker." And the truth is that's never going to happen unless you started learning English at a young age. Um, so accents are really important because they show who you are. it's trying to differentiate when the accent prevents you from communicating versus when the accent is just a mispronunciation, right?
Yes, I get it.
Like a mispronunciation I used to say all the time is I have a really hard time making a short R sound in Spanish. I always roll my R because it's a lot easier. So for a while, I kept saying the word favorita, favorita. And when I was staying with a host family, my host family in Ecuador, the younger sister, she would make fun of me. Her and her boyfriend would make fun of me all the time because I said favorita, and she'd ask me to repeat it. So it took me a really long time to get to be able to say favorita, favorita, because that short R is really hard for my mouth to make. But if I'm talking to you and I say mi camisa favorita, you know what I'm saying. It's just mispronounced.
No, I mean, I still can catch exactly what word are you trying to say. So,
Gotcha.
but I mean, yeah, I also agree with you with the fact that you have an accent. Like I watch a lot of TV shows. So and on Netflix, there's this TV show that was called One Day at a Time, and it's
Okay.
from about a Latino family living in the States, in the United States. So yeah, it pretty much made me feel proud to be Latin and not to be ashamed of that. But I think also comes from the fact that still people like have preconceptions, right, about
Right.
this.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, they still feel bias about them, right?
Exactly. The bias, the thing that's unfortunate is there's really nothing to do about it other than educate those people about why accents don't affect someone's ability to speak English. Like when I
Yes,
speak to you, I know all of the words you're saying. There's never a time where I'm like, what is he saying? I can tell that, like, if I couldn't see you, I would know you're from Latin America based on your accent. But it doesn't affect your ability to say the words.
yes. And I'm curious, like, I haven't really spoken, for example, from people from Asia, people from um, Africa, and stuff like that. Like, their accents are really different because I have first thought of, but how different are they from Latin Americans, from Africans, from people from Asia? How different are they? What do you think?
Yeah, there's very large differences in accents because accents come from your native language and the shapes your mouth needs to make for a native language. So, people, for instance, who come from Spanish speaking, Portuguese, French, a lot of times their accents are easily understandable to American English speakers, because they all have roots in Latin or in Greek. They're all Romance languages. So the sounds are similar. The hard part about English that's different from all of those languages is the short vowel sounds. So usually short vowel sounds are hard for everybody across all the countries. Everyone has a really hard time with these. But then there are different vowel sounds that are different for different speakers. For example, in Latin America, this letter is really hard for people to pronounce as S because it always has the eh sound in front of the S. So
Yes,
instead of saying salad, you'd say a salad because that's how it comes off in most words in Spanish, right?
yes. For example, I can think of the word sports. Like
Mm-hmm.
my basic students tend to say it's sports because
Right,
it's much more natural to have none of our words start with an S, or
right,
usually there's a vowel before the S. That's why
right.
they say it that way.
Ensalada.
Yes.
So exactly. So that's something that's unique to people from Latin America is that E sound before.
Mhm.
Um, for people from most Asian countries, it's really hard consonant clusters. So anytime there's two consonants next to each other, these sounds are usually really hard for people from Asia because that's not part of how most Asian languages are constructed. So there's differences from regions to regions, and then there are some things that are pretty universal about like short vowel sounds. Everybody has a hard time with them.
I see. Yes, now that you mentioned all this, yeah, because for example, if I hear someone from, I don't know, uh, I don't want to use this word, but I can think of a better one, like Indian, from India,
Okay.
someone from India. I can pretty quickly catch up their accent. They have
Yeah.
this accent, and for example, if I hear someone that is French and speaking English, they have, because I have also studied a little bit of French, so I kind of know like the accent that they have. So that's
Right.
why it's pretty easy to catch up. Also, someone who speaks Russian also
Yeah.
have this accent, so it's pretty related, as you say, to
Right.
their native language.
Right. Yeah, the thing in a lot of folks from India is that the intonation in Hindi isn't the same as intonation in English, right? Which is and the intonation in English is the same from like English to Spanish, right? If I say, "Oh my God, adios mío," like I say them the same way, right? Versus in Hindi, the intonation isn't the same. So that's one of the main things I work on with speakers from India, or I have a speaker from Nepal or other places like that. It's working on the intonation of which words should go up and which words should go down, because in a lot of languages in that part of the world, they don't have the same expectation. Same with Somali. Somali speakers, when they learn English, a lot of English speakers think it sounds like they're yelling at you because in Somali, you don't change intonation either. So it definitely has to do with native language and region of the world.
Yes, and makes sense with something that I heard from another tutor is that um, it's related to the culture, isn't
Right.
it? So yeah, I'm curious to know. At least in Ecuador, I think that the Spanish they don't have that much accent. I've been in Ecuador once, so that's good. I heard someone from Mexico, for example, that she was from Scotland and she was teaching English in Mexico. And Mexico have a really depends on the state or that,
Yeah.
but yeah, they have some part of Mexico have a really strong accent that
Yeah.
even
I've noticed that too.
to like for example we live in the coast in Peru,
Hmm.
and yeah, we have some accent, but it's not really strong. I don't think
Right.
that's the word. But people from the highlands of Peru, there's this accent that we can
Yeah.
even I can even repeat it, or
Right.
so. And people from the jungle part of Peru, they also have an accent, and we're talking about the same country. So
Right.
people,
Well, that's like in the US for sure. If you pay attention to the different, like people in the South, howdy y'all, how y'all doing today?
yes,
I can't even do it that well. I don't live from there. Minnesotans, the main part of our accent is we pronounce the short A sound as a long A sound. So like in this word, how do you say those two words?
bag, flag.
Yeah, and that's how the rest of America says it. But in Minnesota, we say my bag and my flag.
All
I
right.
say, let me go grab my bag really quick. Oh, we're gonna fly our flags today. Um, so that's the main difference for us. Up in Boston, they have this long wah wah. Let me get my coffee. So yeah, there's different. There's this really cool video. I have bookmarked. I'll send it to you if you want to watch it later.
Yeah.
Uh, where is it? It's called 21 Accents, and it's this woman who gives. I actually found this video when I went to one of those pronunciation workshops I was telling you about. He pronounces the same sentence in 21 different accents from around the world, all English-speaking accents. Because I don't know if she speaks other languages, but it's kind of in the same way if you're speaking to an American English speaker and they talk to a British person or a Scottish person or an Australian person or a South African person or a New Zealand person, New Zealander, yeah.
Mhm.
They all have a slightly different sound too. So when I was in Scotland, and I was at a dance class, I had a dance studio when I was in Scotland, and my instructor was super Scottish, like really, really heavy Scottish accent. So sometimes he would say the name of a specific move and I would repeat it back and I would be completely wrong, even though we were both speaking English. And so there was one move he introduced to me once called a baby curl, like this word. But I heard baby kill, like this word. I was like, did you just say the baby kill? He goes, no, curl, curl. And he kept trying to say the sound. He's like, sorry, I don't speak American. So